Yeah, like it's gorgeous. It's beautiful to look at, but if the
But
story's not there,
weirdly enough, I want a
weirdly
story.
enough.
I know that.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, joined by Traci. It's been a minute, and we are talking some news, some trailer showdowns. We've got a lot of stuff going on right now that's
Mm-hmm.
really exciting for the sci-fi
Mm-hmm.
fantasy fans. And I wanted to ask you, Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, Dueling trailers dropped on the same day within hours of one another. How are you
Their
feeling?
numbers, their numbers were so close too. Like I noticed that they both hit like this 5 million some odd whatever number. And I'm like, wow, like the interest seems pretty evenly distributed. So
Mm-hmm.
like and honestly, like once it got to the end of the trailer and it was like House of Dragon is coming out in June and Rings of Power is like at the end of August, I was like, okay, like dueling trailers, but not necessarily dueling shows. Like it's almost like we'll get to enjoy House of the Dragon and then we'll have time to enjoy Rings of Power. And I like that because I think they were pretty much
At
weren't
the
they like
same
kind of
time
side by
last.
yeah, and it was like a lot to kind of process and keep up with. And I mean, we both know how I felt about Rings of Power. It's not my favorite show. I think we got to a certain point. I was like, do we have to keep watching this?
I
That
don't know though,
said,
like, yeah,
no, no, no,
like
go
that
ahead.
said, I feel I'm like ambivalent about it because I see the potential, but I think what hinges on Rings of Power being really loved is I think like the acceptance from like the hardcore Tolkien fans. And if you can't really reel them in and like get them excited about something and amped up about something, I don't think the source material is
Mm-hmm.
as extravagant and like catching as, Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. So like they have kind
Mm-hmm.
of like many things working against them. Where like
Mm-hmm.
with Wheel of Time, it's going off the books,
Mm-hmm.
with, these animated series that are coming up, it's whatever, like we
Mm-hmm.
don't know what the source material is going to be about. So like it's kind of just like, okay, like we've already got the show, so I guess like we'll see what these movies are about.
Mm-hmm.
But with Rings of Power, like it's so established already. So like coming in and trying to like, hey, we're gonna do this thing,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta kind of like make it really, really good if the source material isn't exactly
Mm-hmm.
the
Giving
most.
you like excitement
Yeah,
and adventure.
right.
Because isn't it mostly almost like a reference type book that a lot of the stuff is being based on when it
Yeah.
comes to it's like so I mean that is really difficult to make exciting. But I did after watching the Rings of Power trailer, I was like, okay. Like I will definitely watch season 2. Like I
It looks
really
gorgeous. Like
it
the
looks
the
amazing.
it looks beautiful. Like I'll give
Yeah.
it that.
Yeah.
The story itself, no idea.
Okay, yes. What what's happening? What's going
Right.
on? Like I just found myself being like, "Do I get this? I don't know if I get this." Like and where did you see any Harfoots? Was there a Harfoot
I
in
didn't I was hoping for like a Harfoot montage or something.
just
Maybe
something, a glimpse
they'll
walking through a
come.
field? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they'll come back with, like, a second trailer like they usually do, and it'll be, like,
Yeah.
the happy Hobbit trailer, but
Yeah, like instead of the doom and gloom and all the battle, it'll be like the almost Shire-esque adventure kind of
yeah.
thing, like, I think
Yeah,
that would be really fun.
and I
Yeah.
think what's interesting too is I realize, like, when I'm talking about it, where I'm like, "Well, like, the source material, it's not" for me, it's not something that I've ever felt really drawn to reading. Like, it
Mhm.
seems just kind of dense to me, but at the same time, House of the Dragon, the source material is also nothing that
Mhm.
I'm interested in, and I
Mhm.
will say, like, I read the section
Mhm.
where House of the Dragon starts and where it roughly should end. And it it put me to sleep. It was like I appreciate the material being there, but it was just not for me. It's nowhere near as enthralling as
Yeah.
George R. Martin's normal writing style and the way that
Yeah.
it's composed. It was just it's fine, you know, and I'm a huge, huge A Song of Ice and Fire fan. Like I love it.
Mhm.
I love that series. That's
Mhm.
probably the series that jump started me getting into reading fantasy again. Like
Mm.
I went for such a long period of my life where I'm like,
Mhm.
books, whatever. And then after that, it was like I haven't stopped just devouring books.
I was
It
gonna
like
say that's so hard to picture you not being, like, just this voracious reader. That's how I've known you for so long.
maybe I'm internally just like looking for something that I love as much. But I mean, that's initially why I started reading The Wheel of Time. It was like, I want something big, thick,
Mhm.
long.
Mhm.
It's going to take a long
Juicy.
time. Yeah.
Something I can
Yeah.
love and hate. Something I can
Right.
pick apart, pull apart.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think despite my opinion on the source material for like House of the Dragon, it being fire and blood, it's similar to Rings of Power in that
Mhm.
aspect. But
Yeah.
I do think that I enjoyed House of the Dragon in terms of like the storytelling more.
Mm. Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
also, there's things that I really don't enjoy about it. So
Mhm.
like it's
I think that's
interesting.
fair. I think that's
But
fair.
But enjoyable, yes, like, it
Mhm.
was very entertaining. I
Mhm.
was I was definitely, like, sucked in, paying, like, deep attention to it, but
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that there's not like, there's themes and stuff where I'm just like, "Ugh,
Okay,
we
so
gotta go here."
yes, that's kind of what I was just thinking when you were talking about it, because I was like, yeah, it's easy to keep us engaged for like 2 minutes, but they're gonna have like the entire series to keep us going. And I mean, sometimes like it happens, like the trailer comes out and it's like, yeah, is gonna be great. And then you sit down, you watch the show, and you're like, oh, all the best moments were in the trailer. Awesome, cool. Still
Mm,
watching. You know what I mean? Like it has
yeah.
the opportunity to be really good, but it also has because again, like what is the story? Where are we going? And we're missing
Well, I
main.
can I can tell you, like, from everything that I've gathered, it's just like these two families facing off, more battle, 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 which, succession stories are always interesting. Like, that's
Mhm.
always a pull for someone, I think,
Mhm.
especially within like that certain like fantasy genre.
Oh,
But
definitely.
with House of the Dragon, it's also like everyone is so unlikable. And I don't mean like
Mm.
interesting unlikable, but like terrible, like
Mhm.
dastardly, where
Mm.
it's like, are
Mhm.
you team green, team black? And it's like, can I
Mm.
just be team dragon? Like,
One dragon to rule them all.
yeah,
The
exactly.
crossover you didn't know you wanted.
Exactly. And I mean, for me, what I'm, I guess, most excited for, like based on this trailer, is
Yeah.
the introduction of the new characters because season one, it's just like, it's the royalty. It's,
Mhm.
these two different sides of one family infighting. Okay.
Mhm.
But like, I want to see what's going on over here in the Vale. I want to see what's going on over here in the North.
Mhm.
And like, that's
Mhm.
what should be added, I guess, this
Mhm.
season, which I'm really
Mhm.
excited for. But also, I really liked, I think I hope I don't misremember her name, but Lena, the second wife of Damon, where they have the two little girls. She
Mm.
died in
Mhm.
childbirth and that
Mhm.
whole scenario. Like, I love
Yeah.
those two little girls. Like,
Mhm.
I want more of these characters, and I saw
Yeah.
both of them in the trailer, and I was like, "Yes."
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
finally, finally.
Yeah. Yes. I
But
did I
there's
did go
there's
back
a
and watch,
handful
like,
of likable ones, yes.
Ar 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 I'm like, are there? I'd have to like go back and rewatch it, I think. And I think I'm gonna have to do that anyway, just so that I'm like remembering things correctly and names correctly. Like after watching the trailer, I went back and watched the things that have been released recently for House of the Dragon that I hadn't watched yet. And that behind the scenes thing that they came out with was like, oh, it was so good. Like Matt Smith is he's my guy. I love him as an actor. I am thrilled to see him be this kind of like almost hateable character
Mhm.
because he's not the good guy. He's the guy like pressing for his advantage and as much power as he can get. And like when he was like team green, team black, and he's like, Black, I'll come to all your doors and fight you. And I just like, Matt Smith, I love you. I love you so much. So I am really like,
When
I
he
love
was cast,
him.
I was like, "Really?
Right.
Okay."
Right. But like there's that one scene in the first season where he has like that one man battle and he's against like everybody and it's like, yes, just so good. And there's a moment in Doctor Who where he has almost the exact same moment, but he doesn't have to like physically fight anybody. It's just his words and everybody being like, "Oh yeah, you're a scary dude. We're leaving."
I
So
want
like
I want more realistic battles, like,
what would
we
that
we
look
know
like to
from
you?
well, obviously not one guy, like, taking turns while, like, other people, like, go to fight, you know what I mean? Like,
You
I
don't
had the
think that's
same
realistic?
I had the same criticism with Wheel of Time where I'm like, "Okay, yes,
Right,
Aviendha, she's fighting, like, a whole legion of these white cloaks, okay." Like, not everyone all at once. I mean, he is
right.
like everyone all at once, but then they take
But then they do
turns. It's
alright, guys.
I'm more about, like, the tactics, like,
Mhm,
show
mhm,
me Damon, like, giving tactics where it's not, like, so overhyped Battle of the Bastards style where it's like, "Show me the good tactics that work, like,
mhm, mhm,
historically, and I will be just as entertained, if not more, than, like, swing a
mhm.
sword, cut away, swing a sword, cut away."
Right, yeah. And I think there's definitely room for that. Like
And I know I say this, like, in a show about dragons, so, like, it's
it
it's
doesn't
yeah.
mean the dragons could be politically motivated, it's fine. We don't know what they're thinking.
We have no idea. I mean, the dragons could be tactical, making their own decisions.
Yeah, they're like, "This
Yes.
is dumb. We're gonna do my plan."
Get off. Get out of here,
I
Damon.
don't
I
need
got
you,
this.
okay? You just think you, like, command me.
House of the Dragon, just make the dragons talk,
Right?
problem solved.
Telepathic connections at the very least.
Yes.
Internal monologues, dragon internal monologues. This fool on my back.
Right?
I love this idea. I love this
Yeah.
idea.
And I think too, like, the big pull for me this season is
Mhm.
hopefully the dragon seeds. So, like, we've got an excess of dragons on our hands. We need
Mhm.
writers. And, like,
Mm.
I think for me, that's especially interesting because they're not just, all Targaryens. We've got
Right.
bastards and stuff like that. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that makes the cast feel a little bit more, I guess, less, like, monolithic, like, everyone, like,
Mm.
prim proper royalty, but it's like, no, like,
Mhm.
give me, like, the dirty guy that's been fighting his whole life with the grit, Like, I want a little bit
Yeah.
more difference within, like, this person is, like, bad, this person is, like, evil, this
Mhm.
person just emotionally damaged, this person mommy issues, this person daddy issues. Like, it's so dysfunctional, and I get that's part of the draw, but
Mhm.
I don't know.
A little bit
We've
more
got
than that.
yeah, like, give me a little bit more. Where, like,
Mhm.
in a Game of Thrones, we have, like, a lot of, like, side characters where, like, they are important, but it's not so monolithic in terms of, like, status, like the
Mm.
Hound or, like,
Yeah.
the Mormonts, you know, like you've got
Mhm.
like noble houses, smaller houses, and then like their vassals, and it's kind of mixed, you know.
Yeah. Mhm.
But
Mm.
that's, I think, for me, interesting.
Mhm. I I just want to see the dragons.
Well, the Bela, one of the daughters, one of Damon's daughters, like I've been hoping to see this one so much, and I
Mhm.
it's kind of like a silvery one, and I'm like, "Oh, she's so
Mhm.
pretty," but it's like a little baby one, so I'm like, "Oh, I'm excited to see the
Fast,
little baby dragons, the little nimble
small, and
dragons."
agile. Exactly. Exactly.
And
Don't
then
underestimate by size.
right, and then there's what is it? I think Vermithor? I don't remember the names. The big, like, granny dragon that we see at the end
Mm.
of season 1 where Damon is, like, lurking about, and then you see, like, the big dragon, like,
Mhm.
they come in all shapes and sizes and many colors,
They're
these
enormous.
dragons. They're really the star of the show, in my opinion.
It is House of the Dragon, after all, so they should be, you
I
know?
mean I mean, it should be. If I review this, it's going to be the most unserious review because I don't know how much I can get into, like, the background of 2 women who, like, hate each other but love each other in, like, this, like, such
Mhm.
dysfunctional way to the point where I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oof, oof."
Actually, speaking of that, one of the lines that really stood out to me from the, um the trailer
Mhm,
was I think it was Alicent saying, like, "At the end of this war, neither one of us may win." And, like, it really I think, like, everything that kinda goes through the trailer really kinda points to while there are these 2 women who are at the forefront of making powerful decisions, that doesn't mean that the people that are supporting them take their opinions, their status into consideration when they make decisions. Like that one scene where Alicent is like, we must proceed with caution, and her son is
mhm,
like very against this idea.
mhm.
Like he wants revenge. Like that's what he says, like flat out. He wants revenge. It's Rhaenyra, right? Who's fighting for
Rhaenyra, Alicent.
okay. Yeah, Rhaenyra.
Okay.
So she's like, she thinks that the throne belongs to her. Aegon is like, the throne belongs to me. And neither one of them are going to back down. And that's like, I think one of the things also said was like, there will be days of peace, but first, the path there is one of violence. And it's just so sad how often that is the case. Like, even in the real world, where violence is the answer to get to the right conclusion. And it's, I don't know, it's good conversation, really, to see how these 2 houses are going to play it out. I mean, they have dragons, so that's a little different than
Yeah.
like real world stuff, but
Well,
that
I
just
mean,
makes it
it's
even
like
better.
yeah, it's like both sides having nukes, you know?
Mhm.
Like, it's just
Right.
it
And
is what
using
it is.
them. And
Right.
using them. I think someone in the behind the scenes thing, the actor that plays Aegon was like, he was like describing the season as nuclear. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm actually excited about it. I did not necessarily expect to be this excited about it. But like after watching that trailer, I went back and I was like, all right, like,
I think it's gonna be good. Like, I think it's
yeah.
going to be probably one of the better shows this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know, like, it's gonna be rough. There have been a lot of really good shows this year. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Fallout did phenomenally.
Aiden was just
Shogun
watching that.
was incredible, incredible. Like, it the politics in Shogun, like, versus, like, House of the Dragon, like, it's a little bit sad, like,
Mm.
how different it is, where I guess maybe I was hoping House of the Dragon to be a little bit more nuanced, I guess,
Mm.
but it does still feel like it is nuanced, but it also kind of falls into this category of, like, what can we do to shock you?
Mm.
And that's
Mm.
fine as a, set piece or something that
Mhm.
happens, when it's earned, but I don't wanna watch a show that's just made for, like, shock.
Mhm.
So, like, and I'm not saying that House of the Dragon is like that, I'm
Mhm.
just saying that, like, Shogun is a little bit more nuanced, I feel like,
Mhm.
but House of the Dragon still it's like, ugh, like, it's beautiful, like, the sets, the
Mhm.
costumes, the
Mhm.
hair, the
Mhm.
jewelry, like, everything. It is
Mhm.
as soon as you see an image or a scene from that show, you can look at the costuming, you can look at the color grading, and
Mhm.
you're immediately
Mhm.
at Westeros, and it's like
Mhm.
yeah, like, it feels good to always, like,
Mhm.
step back into Westeros and just, like,
It really
look at
does.
it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that in some ways. House of the Dragon feels like redemption for not a great ending for Game of Thrones. Like I said, just a little
Yeah,
personal opinion. Like they still like not that they weren't able to ride on that massive level of
mhm,
popularity that Game of Thrones produced. And I really do think that they've done a good job of like matching the quality level that Game of Thrones overall pulled off really really well. And like what you were saying about like the nuance level, I first wanted to ask if you think that they will gain a nuance level like as the season goes on, because like I feel as though season 2 is like season 1 builds you up,
yeah.
season 2 gives you more of the story because now you're like in some ways invested. So do you think that that's something that might happen, or do you think we're
Yeah.
just going to rely on dragons?
No, 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 I do think that there's a lot of potential, especially at this point in the story, to kind of start getting in deeper to, like, the machinations of everyone and,
Mhm.
season 1, it's like, these are the characters, these are
Mhm.
their motivations, and it's gonna end on, like, the death of the son, and
Mhm.
so, like, it's definitely very hard to kind of put so much exposition in there, but also
Mhm.
give you, like, all of the teeny tiny nuance and
Mhm.
this and that, where I don't know, like, I don't think it can be as nuanced as Game of Thrones because it's just a question of source material where, like,
Mm.
A Song of Ice and Fire is just it's massive, but there's so many
Mhm.
undercurrents and so many
Mhm.
characters, and with this, it's kind of like
Mm.
it's not as complex, I feel
Mhm.
like, but
No, I hear what you're saying.
there's still a lot of potential to kind of give people something really fun and
Mhm.
maybe correct and I don't mean, like, correct the source material, but, like,
Mhm.
switch it for a different medium in a way that gives more undercurrents to where the source material couldn't, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Mhm. No, that really does. It does. I think it does. Yeah. And I actually was thinking when I was watching um the trailer that it to me it didn't feel like they were going to rely on shock value this time. Like that was one of the things that kind of just hit me where I was like this just doesn't feel not in the same ways that it has been accused of doing in the past. I mean, of course there is going to be that in it, but at this point we're expecting it. And so I just feel like for this series and this kind of like
Yeah.
brand, it's not going to be like excessive shock value like done kind of half-ass and poorly as has happened in the past. So that was kind of just like my take on it when I was watching it. But I could be totally off too.
I mean, there will be some set pieces in this season where I think, "Yikes." Like,
Mm. Mm.
yeah, I'm gonna be watching, like, the emoji that's like this with my hands, I think. I'm
uh,
excited, though, it's gonna be a lot of
mhm.
fun. So we've got Rings of Power, we've got
Mhm.
House of the Dragon, and then we had a
Dune.
renewal for Three Body Problem.
Oh.
which is honestly, I've been waiting like on pins and needles, hoping that they announce like it's renewed.
Yeah.
And it kind of took a while. Like I was starting to get a little bit nervous, but from the way that they announced it, it sounds like they are all in and we will be seeing the entirety of the
Mhm.
story. Like Netflix is going to cover
Nice.
it to completion, which is
Nice.
super exciting. I know you watched the 10-cent version. You probably
So
haven't
good.
watched the Netflix version yet, right?
No, but I'm going to. I need to. I've got like a list of things to catch up on watching, but the only one that I have watched so far is the 10-cent one, which I thought was really good. Really good. So
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what the Netflix version has
Yeah.
pulled off because I've heard great things about it. Like people have mentioned it to me and how much they've enjoyed it. So I'm actually really interested in watching it.
The numbers
Yeah.
were great. I mean, it for one, it could have used 2 more episodes, but I mean, that's me, like, always, like, maybe just a couple more, but I
Mhm.
think I mean, you've read the first book, so you know,
Mhm.
like, the whole vibe of, like, what's going on with Yaowancia and the Cultural Revolution, but, like, book 1 is it feels like just a massive prologue where it's like, here's
Mhm.
all the backstory, and
Mm.
then book 2, it just kind of, like, drop kicks you, and it's like, "All right, we're doing things," and there's a lot of I'm trying to think of a way without spoiling anything. It introduces a lot more concepts that are, like, increasingly more and more bizarre as
Mm.
time goes on, but, yeah, like, I hope we get more game theory, I hope we get more stuff like that, it's gonna be fun. And
Yeah,
then
I just made
also
a note for myself to read the other books. I should have time this summer, I'm hoping. I didn't take any summer classes, but
there's there's also so we've got, like, that renewal, and then the Wheel of Time had an official announcement that what did it say? Officially in the coming year. So
okay.
season 3 is officially in the coming year, and
Does that mean, like, by the end of 2024 or
I interpreted that
2025?
as, like, the coming year is 2025, but also, like, do they mean, like, the coming year is in, like, the next 12 months? Like, could you be any more vague, Netflix?
Pretty vague. Pretty vague. I love that that is, like, an official announcement. Like,
Mhm.
officially, we are going to give you a vague, like, announcement.
Very
Here
Aes
you go,
Sedai
guys.
answer, yes.
Right? Yeah, that's not super helpful. It's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, but
Ah.
there's I mean, on that front, there's been a lot of, like, new unofficial cast members
Mm.
coming, like, being announced. What series is always on it,
Mm.
but there was also a leaked audition script for a character people are probably assuming is Samael.
Mm.
So, like, I don't know. I really hope that season 3, like, we get the obvious stuff that everybody wants, like
Mhm.
Aiel stuff and the Two Rivers stuff and
Mhm.
the Tanchico stuff, but I'm also like, "Okay, well" I think, like, I kind of fell in love with all of the Forsaken last season,
Mhm.
so I'm like, I hope that this is, like, a season full of Forsaken
Mhm.
shenanigans and
Mhm.
Black Aja shenanigans.
It sounds like it's going to be. Like, I was reading a couple different articles, and from what I could gather, it does seem like there's gonna be this focus on the Forsaken that we haven't gotten before, and something about, like, the writers, how the writers are very, very familiar with the Black Aja and the members that we'll be seeing and
Mhm.
working with and whatnot in season 3. So, that has me really excited. Like, in some ways, I love that they're, like, really playing on the darker aspect of the Wheel of Time as opposed I mean, because that's it is there. Like, you could totally make this a somehow light-hearted series, but there are so many things where it's just gonna get darker and darker. And I think that they've done like a really good job of like amping it up, like from season 1 to season 2.
Yeah, I think like for me the big catch is season 3 is mostly going to, I feel like, be the make or break season. Like it needs to
Mm,
do really well. We still
yep.
haven't had a season 4 announcement.
Right.
So like I'm excited to see them do all of the big things, these big moments that happen in the books, but I'm also really like throwing my chips in and being like, okay, like this is the season where things get really weird. Like
Mm-hmm.
the stuff in Tal'Aran'Rhiod in the dream world, the stuff
Yep.
in Ruidion.
Yep.
And then if we're focusing on the Forsaken, like let's do like a lot of Age of Legends stuff. Like make it
Mm,
weird, make it stand out. We like everyone I think is familiar with high fantasy at this
mm-hmm.
point in 2024. Like we know the tropes, we know this and that. But the Shadow Rising has so much potential to kind of weave
Yeah.
in these
Mm-hmm.
more strange, almost sci-fi type aspects like
Yes.
that and the Finn, like it just gets so weird.
Yeah.
So like if they can take it there and make it really different and make it stand out, but also have all of these such high moments for the characters, like
Mm-hmm.
they have to it has to get greenlit for season 4. Like if you
Yeah.
tick all the boxes, like there's no way that they'll
Yeah.
pass on that, I feel like.
No, I'm actually really excited about it. And I'm going to like I feel like I was really hopeful for season 2 and I was really really happy with season 2. And so I'm going to be really hopeful for season 3 because I feel like they've got a lot that they're able to build on in a bigger budget and like I mean, I'm still going to hold on to the hope that season 3 is going to introduce Shora as a member of the cast. Do you see how excited I'm getting about this idea? Like I just that's my biggest hope is that that is something that because Elida has to come out this season. She just has to.
Right. Yeah, like I don't know, maybe I've, like, gaslit myself into loving Elida because I'm like, "There's no one like her." Like, you just gotta watch. Like, you don't
Mhm.
understand how messy and unhinged and just, like, bananas this woman is, but it's so enjoyable.
It really is.
It's so
She
enjoyable, and I
I think
think
she's one of the
Sheree
best
can, like
characters.
yeah,
Yes.
like, someone with that amount of talent, like,
Mhm.
oh, that's, like, mwah, like, such an incredible role to play, like, how
I think
fun
she
to
would love
be
it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think that would be amazing. I'm excited. I think what I read was like April 2025, and then other people were like give it a few months after that, so maybe June or July of 2025, and I was like, wow, that's so long. It's so long to wait. It's so long to wait.
I
You
think
know
that's
what though?
that's a problem.
I'm That's what everybody keeps saying. And I'm like, there are so many things coming out in the in between time that are worth watching. And everything is still there for you to rewatch when it comes out. So I'm just like, take your time, make it good, keep me as a fan. And I'll go back and rewatch and I will keep hyping the show if you keep doing a good job. Like, just do a good job. That's all I
That's
want.
yeah, that's a fair assessment, but I also
Mm-hmm.
think in terms of, like, engagement for people who
Mm-hmm.
might not be, like, the biggest Wheel of Time fans.
Truth. I am a bit of a Wheel of Time junkie.
Yeah, so, like that information is, like, in and out, like,
Yeah.
it's there, and then by the time you get to the next season, it's like, I totally forgot what happened, and I
I
mean,
was reading I was
go
reading on
ahead, go ahead.
Reddit and someone was like, "I didn't even know that a season 2 had come out." And like one of the other people was like, "Yep, that's the problem." Like when you wait that long and you don't have plus they had like a problem with marketing for season 2, so we'll see what happens for season 3, but
Like,
I'm excited.
you have to fight through, like you said, there is a lot of other shows, but, like,
Mhm.
sometimes if you're a little bit more interested in other shows, you
Mhm.
miss the news cycle for something, like, you're not
Truth.
super engaged with, and then it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
didn't know it was here. I guess I'll watch it
Whoops.
later."
Add that to the queue.
Yeah. Add it to the queue. Add it to the
Yep.
throne. Wasn't that Damon last year with his sword? Like, add it to the throne.
Right.
Throws the sword. Add it
Throws
to
the
the
sword
queue.
down. Here you go, man. For you. Good stuff. Good stuff. I love
So
it.
so okay, we'll leave we will leave Three Body Problem out because you haven't watched it yet. But House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, Wheel of Time, is there anything that you feel like is maybe a little bit more superior out of the three? Just
Ooh.
based on your own personal taste, not like I'm going to give you a thesis.
No, that's a really good question. Okay. I'm going to put Wheel of Time at number 1. And I know
Okay.
that might sound biased,
No,
but
not at all.
what I really appreciated about Wheel of Time was how it was focused on the characters, focused on the story, focused on like a really clean, in some ways, product. Whereas and not a lot of sexual stuff in Wheel of Time. And I like that. Like I don't really need sex in my TV shows to keep me engaged. Like I know what it is. So I like that it's more focused on the things that feel more important, but still maintained like the political aspect, the costume aspect I thought was really good. Like there's so much about it I really, really, really enjoyed. House of Dragons second spot and Rings of Power I still am going to keep on the bottom because I couldn't figure out what it was for.
I always go back to the boat where it's like they transported so many thousands and thousands of soldiers in the boats for like the set. What is this, a canoe? Like, come on.
There's just so much weird stuff. I'm like, it could be better. It could be better.
Well,
And I mean, that's fine.
I'm definitely willing to give it a shot when it comes out. I'll definitely be
Mm-hmm.
watching it. And I
Same.
mean, like Wheel of Time had a really rough go
They
season
did.
1. Like it look, that's I'm not being mean. It's a fact, like
It just is what it
COVID,
is.
it just there was a lot of issues that they really couldn't fix. I mean, cast
Mm-hmm.
members leaving, shutdowns after shutdowns. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like, I think
Production lines interrupted.
yeah, I think Rings of Power definitely deserves a second chance, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think it's make or break for it, where if,
Mm-hmm.
season 2 doesn't come out and is
Oof.
pretty
That feels like it's
good.
gonna be such a hard thing to yeah, like, to make a decision on that, like, they've invested so much money in that series, and, like, to just be like, "Well, we tried," after doing that just feels, like, so painful, but at the same
It's
time, that's
It's
that's how
beautiful
television
to
is at
look
this
at.
point,
Yeah, like, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful to look at, but if the
but
story's not there,
weirdly enough, I want a
weirdly
story.
enough.
I know that's like crazy, but that's I need that's what I need. I need to feel connected. I need to feel pulled in. I need to know what's happening. Like that was one of the things I loved about the second season of Wheel of Time was that even though I know the books, even though
Yeah.
it's something that like is so familiar to me, I was still at the end of every episode, what's going to happen next? Like I was so excited for the next
Mhm.
episode every time. And I just felt like it didn't disappoint this time. It really didn't. Like it had
It
its
didn't
flaws.
disappoint.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it
No.
didn't disappoint. It had its flaws.
So
I think it could've I mean, look, if they had a bigger budget and they had more episodes to, like, get more of
really get
those
in there.
nuances in there, that I
Oof.
mean,
So
yeah,
much
but
potential. So much potential.
this
But that's
this
okay.
8 this 8 episode shenanigans is like, I'm over it.
I've
I'm
I've
over
been
it.
diving back into Supernatural again. It's just
Missing
one
the
of those
days of,
shows.
like, 30 episodes per season.
22 episodes. 22 per season. I was like, wow. Like, I was like, could Wheel of Time be 22 episodes per season? I mean, it easily could, and I would just eat it up. Like, and they're not like 20-minute episodes. They're like 45, 50-minute episodes. Like, they're full length episodes. And I'm like, why am I not getting this Wheel of Time? I would
Well,
love
yeah,
that.
like syndicated shows were so different. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but it we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm open to it
Same.
all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we wrap it up there so you can
I love
go
it.
make lunch?
I'm gonna go have lunch with my husband. I'm excited
All
about that.
right. All
Thank
right.
you. It was so fun being back with you. I love seeing your face. And this
You
was so fun.
too. We'll do it again.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Yes, 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 yes. Okay.